everybody, we are Mike and Brenda Baker, and today we are going to be talking about step-sibling rivalry, preventing resentment in blended families. So, like I said, in this video, we're going to teach you what you need to do to try to help your kids, long-term, be able to work together, be friends, that sort of thing. Okay?
So, one thing to keep in mind, we can give you tools, all right? And then there's a ton of tools you yourself can come up with.
Yeah.
But the main thing we want you to remember in this particular video is that resentment in blended families can happen for a variety of reasons. It can be because of talk within the family. It can be because of talk from outside the family, from exes. It can be from ex-in-laws. It can be from ex-spouses. It can be from ex-brother-in-laws. You name it. I mean, that stuff can come from anywhere. But the thing to remember is, as you give your kids tools, they're like any tool. If I give my son a hammer and I teach him how to use that hammer and I test him so that I know that he knows how to use that hammer and that he knows how to use it accurately, there is no guarantee that he's not going to pull a wrench out of that toolbox and use it as a hammer at some point. So the point is it's my responsibility as a parent or even a step parent, because bio parent, step parent, still parent. Okay. It's my job to show them the tool, teach them the tool, test them on the tool, and then expect them to use the tool. But I can't obligate them to use the tool. So tools are only as good as a person uses them. And you need to not blame yourself if your kids will not use the tools you've given them.
And I think this is a good point. Stop me if you disagree. Okay? I think this is a good point to just mention. When they're adults, they're going to make their decisions. And they may not work well together anymore. They may not have ever worked well, and then it just gets worse. Or sometimes people can figure things out. In our situation, can I talk about that?
Yep.
Okay. In our situation, our three oldest boys do not get along at all, actually. I don't know to what extent. I don't care. It's none of my business. But there have been some pretty big problems. And it's sad because we worked so hard to try to bring unity to the family. But honestly, two of them choose to be as difficult and pointing the finger at everyone else in the family rather than back at themselves. So if you're one of my stepchildren, it's you. You need to work on that. But that being said, the other one isn't perfect in everything. I'm just saying, it's really, really hard to work with people that don't want to work with you. So it doesn't have anything to do with how you parented or how well you did as to whether or not your kids are friends long term. Obviously, there's been a lot of damage done by exes. Exes are hard to deal with. And then you add in all the other people. And in our situation, we had a very toxic church as well. And we were spiritually abused. And so some of that really affected our older three much more than we realized. We thought it would just work out okay, and it didn't.
The thing to keep in mind is that you're not going to win every battle.
Yeah.
A lot of people think the war is for the kids. The war isn't for the kids. The war is for your relationship to your spouse. And the battles are fought through the kids.
Yeah.
Okay. So keep in mind, really what we're trying to push here is through all of our videos, there are tools on this very thing. Okay. Putting the marriage first, one of the greatest tools that you can give those kids.
Yeah.
But the question is, are you going to be able to prevent resentment 100% of the time? No. You're going to lose some of those battles, unfortunately, because there will be active forces on the other side of the gate trying to tear your marriage apart, and they're using your kids to do it. And that was our issue, was that there was some jealousy, and as a result, the kids were used to try to squash the relationship. All right. But unfortunately, the kids, my sons were casualties of that war. I feel bad about it every day. But I am not so weak as to say that it was my fault. All right. You want to help get past resentment between stepkids, you've got to let go of your guilt. It would be easy for me to blame myself for all that stuff that happened because I didn't have to marry the gal. I didn't have to, but I did. All right. And that was something that to this day is still an issue. All right. Just via my kids. But I did not do anything. And I can say this 100% wholeheartedly. I did not do anything to merit the behavior that I received, or to this day merit the behavior I received. But that does not mean, let me be clear, that does not mean that I don't love my sons.
Yeah.
Although I'm sure that there are those who would say I don't. Absolutely untrue. I absolutely love my sons. I'm very disappointed in their choices, their judgment, and their behavior. But I've made mistakes too. And when and if the time comes that they wish, excuse me, to make amends, then I'm open for that. But that doesn't mean that I'm just going to trust right away. Now, what does all this have to do with resentment?
A lot.
It has everything to do with it, because one of the greatest tools, we'll get into it in other videos, but I just want to mention it here. One of the greatest tools to help prevent resentment is family identity. And I'm not talking about that family's identity and that family's identity and maybe your family's, and maybe our family's identity. I'm talking about your family identity. The steps, the bios, all of you are a family unit. Now, they might be part of another family also, but what matters is this one when they're here. So we established family identity, and for 3 of our sons, it took very well. Very, very well. The others rejected it, and I can't help that. But 3 of them took it, and to this day utilize that family identity within their own families.
Well, and really at the end of the day, you really have to realize, if you've put all of your effort and you've tried really hard to have a great marriage, you've tried to build family identity, you've tried all the things that we are suggesting, and probably you have others that you could share too. And we encourage it down below in the comments. If you have something that has worked really well for your family, please, put it down. Because a lot of people read the comments, which is so helpful. But, you just don't know what's going to happen in the future. And you can't worry about it. You have to do your very best and apologize when you need to, and all of that, but you can't negate what is going to happen in the future, what your children are going to choose in the future. And it's sad. It's sad. We worked so hard to have this family, and we tried, and we did everything we possibly could, but unfortunately, 2 of our sons aren't around by choice.
Does that mean we did everything right?
No.
I didn't say that.
Oh. There were many.
I made more than my share of mistakes, but that brings us.
You did a good job. It was me.
That brings us into, our number 2. Quite honestly, your example's everything.
Yeah.
You want those kids to know what things look like. Teach them what it looks like. Your kids don't care what you say; they care what you do. All right, and that was something I was always acutely aware of, especially for those of you who are just seeing us for the first time. I had 24 years in the National Guard and 2 deployments, and we did the math. We've been married basically 29 years. And out of those 29 years, I've spent 3 years gone, completely gone from the States because I was in Iraq, or I was training. It's probably actually more than 3 years if you add it all up. But the point is it was super hard. But so I was always very acutely aware, even when I was gone, how important my example was. Why when I was gone? Because there were soldiers that I always called the twofers. And this is actually very pertinent to point number 2, that your example is everything. What are twofers? These soldiers were 2 people for the price of 1. They were one way in front, now mostly men, remember, one way in front of mama, and with a couple of the gals that were there, one way in front of dad or their husband, and completely another way when they were overseas. They thought that being half a world away meant that nobody could see them. All right.
And by mama, you mean their wives, right?
Their wives, yeah.
Okay.
So it never failed. Whatever indiscrepancies they had while they were gone, always came back.
Yep.
Always got found out. And it wasn't that I was just afraid of getting caught. I didn't want that for my sons. I didn't want that for my wife. I did not want them. I absolutely knew that I needed to be the same guy when I wasn't in front of them that I needed to be in front of them. And that helps us men to step up in that role, because I needed my boys to know what real masculinity looked like, and not this fake crap that I kept seeing, in all these other soldiers.
Yeah, and one of the things that I did, I was very particular about, is I never had men in our house, by our house. Like, I would answer the door, but that was it. I never wanted any of the neighbors to be able to say anything that I had men around or whatever. Even Mike's brother, when he would come over, we would be on the porch. I would be on the porch if I was the only one home, or I'd invite him to come back when the boys were around, because I never wanted Mike to feel like I was out doing things that were not, I felt it necessary to let him know what I was doing, so that he never had to wonder where I was or why I wasn't answering my phone or whatever. So
let me throw something in there. There's a new thing that's popped up here recently, and it's not a new thing, but it's becoming more and more popular.
Not between us.
Where men and women are like, well, I'm a grown adult. I can do what I want. They can think whatever they want. Yeah. That's ridiculous, selfish, self-centered, and rude. Don't even bother getting married if that's your attitude.
Yeah.
Don't even bother. There's absolutely nothing I wouldn't sacrifice for my wife. Nothing. Nothing I wouldn't do, nothing I wouldn't sacrifice, nothing I wouldn't take care of. All right? To say, well, she can do that or he can do that, get over yourself.
Yeah.
All right? Which, do you have anything else?
No.
Which brings us to number 3. Quit comparing yourself to other families. And we did it. Okay?
We did.
Our friends who weren't blended families felt the need to judge us by helping, making suggestions. And you know what kind of suggestions I'm talking about? It's the same one like people who don't have kids give new parents.
Yeah.
Or
seasoned parents.
Or seasoned parents, yeah. You got a guy with a 4-year-old trying to give a guy with a 16-year-old advice. No bueno. So quit comparing yourself to either other blended families that appear to have their stuff together.
Or on the internet.
Or to other families that appear to have same rules apply on families. I always say that, yes. But blended families do have extra rules, extra baggage. And a regular family doesn't understand that baggage. They just don't. There's no way. They don't row that boat, okay? It's nothing against them. They just don't row that boat. So, but then you may see, and Brenda's right, on TikTok or Instagram, Facebook, you name it, you see these spouses, they get along great, and why can't we? And it's like, stop. Just stop. Quit comparing yourself. Start working on your own deal. Don't worry about what if you're encouraged by them, great. If you see a great idea, great. Quit comparing.
I'm really thankful that social media was not a thing when we were going through all this, because I literally would have been bawling my eyes out all the time because
MySpace.
I couldn't get,
It was MySpace.
I couldn't get along with his ex-wife. But there was no getting along with the woman. It didn't matter what I did. It was always wrong. Yeah. The times that we did get along, it was pretty good, but there were still underlying things that she would do. So that's to the side. I'm very grateful that in my day, I did not have the added pressure of social media making me feel like an even worse person.
Yeah.
Because I was trying my hardest, but did I know what I was doing? Heck no. Did I make mistakes? Absolutely, but not to be mean.
Something I think is important. Satan is no dummy. He knew that breaking the family apart was the way to go. Okay, and you can see what's happening across America. Blended families are now becoming the norm. The divorce rate for first-time marriages, 50%. Actually, it's 42% last time I checked. The divorce rate, for second marriages, 60 plus. The divorce rate for 3+ marriages, 70+%. Okay, so you're seeing more and more and more blended families, more and more going on. And so as it becomes more the norm, You just have to keep it in perspective. All right. And keep those things relevant that need to be relevant.
Yeah. Yeah. And so, like he said, don't compare yourself. That's only going to bring you harm, and it's going to make you judge yourself. And we got enough judgment going on, right? So just don't do that. Now, we do have a bonus.
Good.
So when it comes to all of this, you know, when you first get into a blended family, you probably found yourself thinking, especially if you're a woman, you probably found yourself thinking, oh, this is going to be great. I'm going to have this big, you know, wonderful family. We all go into it with this idea that everything's going to go well. What we don't really always consider is that it's going to take work to get there. We are celebrating our 29th anniversary in 2 weeks. It has taken lots of tears on my part, lots of hard times, lots of hard conversations, lots of really difficult situations and decisions, on top of a lot of good. But it's taken a lot to get us through this. And so if you're struggling, you're not alone.
Yeah. I mean, for those of you who are older, okay, it's the Brady Bunch that really screwed it up for us. Let's be honest. Okay. Blended family, Brady Bunch,
Were
right?
they?
Yeah, they were a blended family. Yeah, as I believe they were both, I think they were, one was a widow and one was a widower. And so blended family, right? You got all the kids together.
Of yours, mine, and ours, right?
Brady Bunch.
I'm going to have to look it up.
Go look.
Okay.
So, but the point is they made it look a little hard, but overall, we can all just talk through things. You know, I mean, Marcia, what's the big deal? So, you know, media, social media, all that noise. Yeah. Focus on your family. Focus on no screen time. Focus on conversation. Okay? Focus on being involved. You know, quit running yourself ragged, and both families and blended families do this. Quit running yourself ragged to all of your kids' events and have an event that involves all of you that's not sports. Okay? That's not school related.
Volunteer somewhere.
Volunteer somewhere as a family, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there's kitchens, there's rest homes, do you know when the last time was some of the old people in a rest home have seen a kid?
Yeah.
You'd be surprised. It would shock you how many people dump their moms and dads at a rest home and never come back to see them again.
Because it's too hard.
And your volunteer time could just totally make their day.
Yeah.
Totally make their day.
But there's lots of other ways you can serve if old people, you know, nursing homes are not your vibe.
But this is part of the work. All right? When you signed on to a blended family, you signed on for 3 times the work of a regular family.
Yeah.
And I don't say that as a detriment. I don't regret it at all. When people tell you, well, blended families, let me tell you something. I see a lot of men say that they would never date a single mom. Mm-hmm. Now, are there single moms with lots of issues? Yeah, I've met quite a few of them. Is there enough to merit a stupid comment like that? No. And when I say that they say it, I'm being kind about how they say it. That, you know, single moms aren't worth it, yada, 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 yada. There are just as many crappy women out there as there are crappy men. Meaning that there are people they hurt. And you cannot blanket statement these people. So when we came together and we decided this is going to work, when I say that we want this marriage to be your last marriage, I don't mean that you divorce and never get married again. No. I mean that this one sticks because you chose for it to stick. You decided that this is that important. And let me tell you, that alone is an example that your kids need.
Yeah. Anything else?
Nope.
Okay.
I think I've yelled enough.
Well, you're just passionate, and I love that. Yeah, and so, like we said, if you have any comments, please leave those below. If you have questions, that you haven't seen any videos that we have already made, or you just really like us to, you know, touch on something again or from our perspective now, that's great. Leave them in the comments. Did you have something?
I do. We do have an email for the new, I should have announced this before I did. We do have an email for the new, like I said, these videos will continue to be on Mom's Mixed Family Blender on YouTube, but we have rebranded to Blended Family Momentum. So our email, our podcast, our book will all go that direction. So you can email us at at blendedfamilymomentum.com.
Ooh, we're official. Yeah, and if you're wondering about our book, some of you have made comments asking where our book is, where to get it. As soon as it's released, we hope September 11th, which will be our 29th anniversary, wedding anniversary, that is. Yep. That's the plan. If the editor will just get it in gear, it'll be ready. But so when that is available, though, we will have an actual dedicated video for that. I just put my hand right in front of your face. And we will update you as to where to go to get that. So don't worry, it's coming. We're filming this right now at the end of August 2024. I almost said 3. But yeah, so anyways, with that said, we thank you so very much for being here. And we just hope that you'll come back, you'll subscribe, you'll ask questions, leave comments, whatever. We love to support you in any way that we can. We'll see you again soon. Bye.